Hey guys, welcome back to the Atlas Hour. Today is an all new format. You're stuck here with me alone, and I'm literally just going to be shooting from the hip, just shooting the shit with you guys, you and me. And to be honest, I am super freaked out and super uncomfortable to do this. So uncomfortable that I made Victoria leave the house and go to the gym without me so I could be completely alone doing this. And I don't know why this is so nerve wracking for me. I've been in front of massive crowds. I've been on some of the biggest podcasts in the space and felt super comfortable doing so. But thinking about sitting here alone and just talking without a script, without being able to edit out any stupid things I say or looking like a fool, it makes me super uncomfortable. I'm very insecure. But that's going to be kind of the topic of conversation today is embracing things that freak you out. Literally right now I have a lump in my chest. I can feel my heart racing. I can feel my pulse in my face. I feel like I'm going to choke at any second. And again, I don't know why. This is making me so uncomfortable. It's just weird knowing that whatever I say, whatever mistakes I'll say, I'm completely vulnerable to you and you'll see all of this unedited. I don't even think I'm going to do jump cuts on this. The topic I wanted to talk about was just that, doing what makes you uncomfortable. I've found the most growth in my life when I do things that make me uncomfortable. And as cliche as that sounds, I think cliche statements are cliche for a reason. So cliche essentially means that they're repeated and oversaid and kind of overdone, but they're oversaid because they're true. So most cliches are very true. We find a lot of personal growth when we're the most uncomfortable. I was thinking back to sometimes in my life that I've been extremely uncomfortable. And for those of you who don't know my story, medicine, it was never kind of in my cards when I was younger. I didn't think that I would amount to really anything like that. I don't know if you're like me, but I was under the guise that, or under the false assumption that to be a doctor, you had to be somebody who was raised within a wealthy family, and you guys owned a yacht, and your parents went to Ivy Leagues, and then you were a shoe-in to Yale, and you would be a biochemistry major, and it was just like kind of it was something that was kind of predetermined for you, and you had to come from a certain class of family. I don't know why I thought that way. I was simply uneducated and didn't really look into it. Nobody had told me differently. But that wasn't me. I came from a super small town in California, and everybody always thinks of California as being the beaches and city life, or Northern California, San Francisco city. That's not the California I came from. We came from a super small farm town, agriculture town. A lot of pears and walnuts and grapes were grown there. We had one stoplight. My graduating class had less than 100 people. It was a small town, and my dad did well. He was actually in medicine. He was a nurse. He was a surgical nurse, and he did pretty well, but probably around $100,000 a year, raising 3 kids. And California is still California. Even if you're in the country, it's still expensive. So we certainly weren't rich by any means. We didn't have any needs as children, but we didn't have a lot of our wants, which was in nature, also just due to how my parents raised us, which is also good. Anyways, we didn't come from that family that I thought, a doctor would breed a doctor. And I just grew up skateboarding and not giving a shit about anything related to science or personal growth in any way. I was a little punk kid. I partied a lot with my friends. We skated. We fucked around a ton. In school, I always took the path of least resistance. I took the easiest courses that I could. I was never terrible at school. I probably got B's and C's with very little effort, but that was the thing. I put very little effort in. If I was good at something, I would give it a little bit more effort. If I was bad, I was afraid, like I am right now, I wouldn't do it. For me, that was math. I don't know why I was never decent at math. Even like my times tables, and probably, again, going back to just being lazy and not embracing the hard stuff. When I was younger, I didn't really learn my times tables very well. And as you all know, you mess up in 1 year of school, that's just a snowball effect. And math was the issue for me. So can't come around high school. I remember like pre-algebra, I got an F, and that was probably the only time I ever got an F, because I just couldn't comprehend math. I didn't really have the basics of math down. I mean, if you think I couldn't even do a multiplication in my head, it's going to be pretty hard to even figure out pre-algebra. So I think I was able to take it and kind of pass it probably with a C or something. And then as we got along in our high school career, I don't know if you guys had the same thing, but we essentially were able to pick whatever courses, we wanted to do, or classes, I guess. When it came to math, you could pick the ones. And I picked like business math, just super easy things that would allow me to graduate, but didn't require a lot of work on my end. And, I graduated, and again, I didn't think I was going to do anything in academia, and I didn't think I'd really amount to anything. Well, fast forward a few years, and I realized I was a piece of shit and I needed to do something with my life, and I started working out, and that's a whole other story and one I've told before. But I came to this realization that I wanted to do more with my life, and I wanted to pursue medicine. Unfortunately, pursuing medicine required taking advanced math courses. So not only did I have to take trigonometry so I could take physics courses, but I also had to go all the way up to calculus to meet some of the medical school requirements. And this was somebody who failed pre-algebra at a high school level. And when I went to a community college to start. I took like an entrance exam, and they tell you where you're at. And I was basically as low as you could get. And I think their starting course was like, it was either pre-algebra or something right below that. And that's where I scored into. So I have these aspirations to get into medical school, and I have to take calculus to do so. But I'm completely at the bottom, and I don't even fully know my multiplication table. So I was extremely afraid, and that was a path of extreme resistance. I knew that I was going to have to get very uncomfortable, and I was going to have to go inside of a class with other adults and be vulnerable. This wasn't the time of online courses or anything. I couldn't do this online. I had to go get vulnerable and show my weaknesses and kind of embrace my insecurity. And I did. I was able to do it, and I learned, and it was hard. It was not easy, but it was something that I had to mentally switch and say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to find comfort in this discomfort. And I did. And that was the same for all of my courses. So again, I started at a community college at the very bottom. I tested as low as you could get into anything, because in high school, I just didn't care. And I was able to make it into top college courses, university level, and always at the top of my class. My lowest grade in undergrad was an A- after I started applying myself. So yeah, and when I say that is I should backtrack that when I first got out of high school, my parents did make me sign up for college, and I flunked every single course. And then I took a few year hiatus on my own, just partying and fucking around. When I went back and when I decided to embrace discomfort and do the things that scared me, I did very well. And that's when my lowest grade was an A- in my entire undergrad career. So yeah, that's just one story. And it's funny, as I'm sitting here talking, I'm getting a lot more comfortable with all of this. And that's exactly what I've found in all aspects of my life when I do uncomfortable things. Another pretty notable story here that comes up, and I won't tell you all of the times I've done uncomfortable stuff, because I plan on doing this podcast for a long time, and I don't want to run out of all my stories now. But when I was in residency, I got in trouble during my residency, actually, for doing something very similar to this. I started a YouTube channel in residency, documenting life as a foot and ankle surgical resident, and I wanted to have a medicine-based vlog where pre-meds and med students and everything could watch and get some inspiration. It was very motivational, very kind of uplifting day in the life of vlog type stuff. Well, I'm in residency, just going about my day. I didn't even tell anybody about my YouTube channel, because it was a little intimidating as well. I didn't want to tell like my co-residents and director and stuff, because it's kind of goofy to be walking around vlogging yourself, and it was cool that I had a decent following and I enjoyed my community online, but I didn't have to see them face to face and tell them. But anyways, I thought nobody knew about my YouTube channel. I was doing my own thing. It was growing at a pretty decent rate. And then I get a text message from my director one morning as I'm pulling into the hospital saying, "You can't come to work today. You're under investigation. Somebody found one of your YouTube videos and it's a big deal. Basically, you're on suspension. Go home. I'll tell you, I'll keep you updated." I'm like, what the hell is happening? And I started my residency at a VA, a Veterans Affairs Hospital. The way that I thought that I understood the law was that anyone can record anywhere within a public space. And it doesn't really, so if you're at Kroger or whatever grocery store, Walmart, Target, and or you're in the parking lot, I'm thinking, as long as those aren't private property, or let's say your county park, I don't know, you're filming yourself and somebody's in the background, they can't really do anything about that, right? Because they're on a public property and you should just assume that you may get recorded. And that's basically what happened while I was at the VA, the Veterans Affairs. I was recording myself outside or whatever, and somebody was in the background and got caught in my video. And then they saw it and they complained to administration or whatever. And so it turns out, I'm like, well, that's fine. I'm on public property. I can film. They can't say anything about it. Turns out, though, the Veterans Affairs is not public. I mean, I should have known this, but what's worse is it's federal land. So even though I was in Phoenix, Arizona, that wasn't actual Phoenix, Arizona land. That was government U.S. federal land right there. And they have their own rules. And when I looked at their rules, it explicitly said absolutely no filming under any conditions can occur there. So it didn't matter that I wasn't recording. It didn't matter that it was somebody that walked into my video. It didn't matter that I was recording myself. Selfies, etc., aren't allowed there. You just cannot film without permission. It needs to go through an entire reviewing committee that allows you to do so. So I was in the wrong 100%. I didn't realize that. So yeah, I'm in the wrong and I apologize. Whatever, we talk. They let me start back up my residency, blah, blah, blah. We work it out. I think I was put on probation, which was stupid too, but whatever. My residency director was okay. Her and I didn't really get along, and I thought that it was kind of dumb that she just kind of allowed them to treat me that way, because a residency director should essentially be like your parent there. They're your immediate boss who takes care of your entire education while you're a resident. And I was kind of disappointed in her that she just kind of went along with the administration's ruling on me that I was this kind of bad seed. And I was like, dang, I'm making super motivational, inspiring medical videos. My stuff was super upbeat. It was kind of obnoxiously so. I was like, make the world a better place. Yay. But I was really trying to just pump up people and make them feel good, because it was a weird time. This is right during COVID and everything. Anyways, they looked at me like I was this bad apple, and she kind of just went along with that. And I was kind of pissed by that, because I'm like, dude, the only thing that I did wrong was I didn't understand that I couldn't film here. But other than that, everything, it's not like I was on there bad mouthing the VA and everything. It was the exact opposite. I always talked really good about my training and everything. Anyways, this is going off on a tangent. Where was that? Okay. So I continue on with the YouTube channel because they didn't say that I couldn't have it, just that I could not film on property anymore. So I completely stopped filming on property. And for my day in the life vlogs, as soon as I got to work during the day, I would start to incorporate stock footage in my videos, because I could no longer film at a hospital, but I needed it to look somewhat realistic. If I'm vlogging in my car, I'm going to work to do a surgery, the next scene should be some surgical scene, right? So I started using stock footage of hospitals and stuff and editing that in. And then I get another call to the director's office that yet again, my videos are under review. Now they've made their way to the Pentagon, supposedly, and it's likely that I'm going to lose my residency over this. And I'm like, this is not VA footage. This is fucking stock footage. I can show you assholes where it is online. This isn't your hospital. And she basically was like, well, whatever, maybe you should look into just quitting before we have to fire you. And that pissed me off, because I felt like that was more of just an idle threat of hers. I knew they weren't going to fire me, because if they did investigate it, it was going to be, I was completely in the right. I wasn't doing anything wrong. But I've always been extremely stubborn when it comes to anything. And I was like, oh, I should quit. And I know that quitting hurts the residency more than it hurts me. Residencies are paid based on how many residents they have. So if I leave, they're going to take a hit in their funding. They're also going to have less coverage for all the slave work that they made us do. So, oh, I should quit. I should find a new residency. Okay. Again, I knew she wasn't being serious with this. It was just kind of to be completely open, it was just a bitchy fucking threat at that point. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I got online that exact day and started looking for open residency spots, and I stumbled upon one in Michigan. So I reach out to them, and it seemed like a good fit. I got on a call with the director there, and we talked. I flew out to Michigan basically like the week after I talked to him, and he was so impressed by that I flew from Arizona all the way to Michigan just to talk to him, to show face. We went out to dinner, and at the end of the dinner, he put out his hand and said, like, welcome to the program. If you want it, it's yours. And it's a really good program. It's the first foot and ankle surgical residency in the entire U.S. It has the longest running history of a program. And it was awesome. I was super excited about that, right? And I'm like, hell yeah, I can show this bitch that, and I shouldn't be saying that. She's really not a bitch. I just don't think she's a great educator. She's a great surgeon, probably a great person. But I was at the time very upset. Let's put it that way. So I'm like, I'm going to leave Arizona. I'm going to leave what I'm doing here. I'm going to fly out to Michigan and start. And so I told them, I put in it was like 3 months notice. Like, hey, you said I should quit. That's what I'm going to do. I will be out of here at the end of the year. The end of the year for residencies is June 30th because residency each year starts on July 1st. So I tell them, and they're like, okay. And I sign the papers, and I'm going to work out the next 3 months of my time or whatever. And then a lot of time goes by, and I keep not hearing from that director in Michigan. And I'm like, shouldn't I be signing papers? I'm starting here within a few months. Go back a little bit, actually. When I turned in my letters of resignation or whatever, I also sold my house. So Victoria and I lived in a pretty nice house in Phoenix, and we owned it. And I sold that too because I was like, I'm gonna just cut all my ties to Arizona. We're gonna move out and start a new life. So I sold my house. I left my job. So I was, homeless and jobless for the time being until we moved out to Michigan. Well, about maybe 2 weeks before I'm about to leave for Michigan, I get a call from that director in Michigan, and he tells me, man, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but right now we're going through massive cuts at the hospital. The nurses are all on strike. COVID happened. Our salaries are so down. The hospital has basically rescinded their offer to take on another resident. They say they can't afford it right now. We can't get you in, and there's nothing I can do. He tried everything. He's talking to the CEO. He was battling with any and everyone he could because he knew my situation. And I was just like, fuck, like, what do I do? And he's like, can you go back? Can you tell them that you don't want to leave? And one, my pride would never allow me to do that. I was not even an option. But two, I just don't even think it was an option because we'd already put in the work, the paperwork and everything. So what the fuck do I do? I don't know. This was extremely uncomfortable. The easy thing would have been, because I think the house I think I still had some time where I could have pulled back. I don't know. I can't remember all the legalities of the house, but I think I still had time to basically not sell the house. But I probably could have gone back with my tail between my legs and asked the residency if I could stay. If not, I probably could have tried to get another one in the area or just worked in the area or something. But it freaked me out to move out to Michigan with nothing, with not knowing where we were going to live. We didn't even have a house. We were going to live in a hotel for a little bit. I was just going to start residency and figure it out when I got there. So I didn't have a house. I didn't have a job. And it felt extremely scary. And I needed to provide for Victoria and I just was completely overwhelmed with it all. But I looked back on all the times in my life that things have been difficult and hard and nerve-wracking and freaked me out. And I thought there's probably a lot of growth on the other side of this. Let's just do it. So we sold everything. We packed up. We even sold one of our cars. We packed up everything to one car, and we drove across country and into Michigan and did live in a hotel for a few weeks until we found a place. And the amount of growth on the other side of that was so exponential, I can't even it's what put me here today. It's why you're subscribed to this channel. It's why you know who I am. It was really crazy. I moved out to Michigan, and I got my medical license because I had enough training under my belt that I could become fully licensed. I wanted more surgical training, and that's what I was going out to Michigan to do, was to complete one more year of more training. But I had enough to be licensed in practice. So I got my license, and within 2 weeks of being there, I got a call from an office that I had looked at online without ever contacting them. And I told Victoria, this looks like an awesome office. It would be really cool to work there. Well, I get a call and they say, hey, we heard you're moving out to Michigan, because I had a kind of social media following within the podiatry community. And they go, we heard just through the grapevine, through social media, you were moving to Michigan. Are you here now? Are you looking for a job? Because you would fit our kind of what we're looking for. And I'm like, whoa, that's insane, because I literally told Victoria, this looks like a really cool office that I could work at. So I started working there, and things are going really well. And another story for another time, but within a few months, I'm basically on track to buy the entire practice and have like ownership of something. And, I should still technically be in residency. And now I'm probably, making more than the last director who I had the beef with. And then I also, I think I listened to Huberman and Derek talk, and I wasn't a huge fan of Derek. I knew who he was, and not that I wasn't a fan. I just didn't listen to him. I don't even think I subscribed or anything. I knew who Derek was, but I did like Huberman, and I listened to Huberman and Derek talk, and Derek keeps mentioning this thing, Merrick. I'm like, man, that's cool that he was able to form this kind of, this medical clinic that's like basically not medicine. I was really kind of already jaded on medicine, and I wish that I could do something more Merrick related. Like, man, that's cool. It's too bad, that like I'm a foot and ankle surgeon. They would never take me seriously, even though this is my passion, and I probably know more about this stuff than most people just because I've been doing it all myself. But anyways, I thought that was super cool, but just wrote it off as like, yeah, that will never happen for me. Like literally 3 days after having that thought, and I was listening to Huberman and Derek in the shower while I was on the podcast, and I remember thinking specifically, kind of weird, I just remember specifically thinking, man, that would be so cool to work there. And I have a lot of crazy thoughts in the shower. If you listen to me for a while, I got some badass shower thoughts. That's where all my good thinking happens. Anyways, about 3 days later, I wake up in the morning, and I know you're not supposed to, but pretty much every morning, I wake up, I grab my phone, and I look at it and look in my DMs. And more plates, more dates, buff ass Derek is on there. And I'm like, the fuck is that? And I'm like half awake, and I'm like, must be some like ad or something. Like I figured either probably a fake, or it's like an ad coming through like Gorilla, and he's just mass sending it to every single one of his followers or something. And then it's a voice memo and says like, hey dude, in the Derek voice, hey dude, it's Derek, more plates, more dates. I'm just kidding. I don't think he said that, but I think he said, hey dude. And he said, I've got this Merrick thing going on, and we stumbled upon your profile, and I think you'd be an awesome fit. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? This is insane. First, this clinic calls me, and then Derek's calling me. I'm like, is this real life? And I went on with Merrick, and my horizons have just expanded so much. My success, my ceiling is like higher than it could have ever been. I've surpassed what most people in my career would make in their entire, like the top of their peak career. I'm already like making only a few years out of my training. And I know success isn't all money or anything, but it's a good metric to kind of look at. And that's awesome. And then the opportunities that it's awarded me, the people that I've met, the things that I get to do, the fact that I get to hang out with cool guys like you and talk to you about your hormones all day long instead of cutting off nasty diabetic feet. It's insane. And I think that honestly all happened because I was super afraid and super uncomfortable, and I went out and I did that shit and I made it happen because I embraced that fear. So I don't want to ramble too much longer. I have so many other stories that I can tell, but like I said, I don't want to go through every single one of them because we're going to be here for a while together. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this kind of format. This is going to be the new Atlas Hour. I simply do not have time to make the cool edits and everything that I like to do. I've done some of the documentary style edits recently, like the aging one and the testosterone one. And those are awesome and I love them. At this point now, though, YouTube pays me, probably about $100 a month on ads, which is not very much, and it takes a lot of my time to make those type of videos. I always wanted to do a podcast because it is one, it's just fun to have a conversation with other people, right? And I get to learn a lot from others, and I love that. And then two, it's so much easier to get the content out. I don't have to edit anything. You basically hit record and then you hit publish, and you don't have to edit out all the stuff. Like, those videos that I made, like the aging one and everything, it's probably like 8 to 10 hours of editing on my end because I do everything 100% myself. And sure, I could spend money on an editor. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me though at this point. I'm not making enough money in that domain. And I understand the whole like investment up front. And hey, if you guys are listening to this and you're like, no, fuck this, Adam, this format that you're doing now is super boring and I'm never going to watch it. Do the old stuff, do the cool edits, let me know, because if it makes sense, I can pay for an editor and do that kind of stuff. But I really want the podcast format. I really had hoped that moving out here, I would have Josh to do this with, and unfortunately I don't. So it's just you and me. We get to talk now for the time being, and I'm going to have other people on, obviously. It'll probably be the online format. This weekend I have Tanner Tattered on. That'll be cool. I want to talk to him a lot about SARMs. If you guys have any questions for him, drop it below. But if you like this format, please let me know. If you think it fucking sucked and you hated my storytelling, let me know. Super vulnerable here. I hope it didn't come out. It wasn't too obvious. I smell. I feel like I got BO. I'm using this natural deodorant, like the Everyman Jack or whatever, and I swear, I just feel like it pulls out my stink. It doesn't mask anything. Like, I feel like I don't normally have too bad of BO, and then all day long when I'm wearing this, I'm just getting whiffs of like awful BO with a little bit of sandalwood mixed in. And I know you all talking about like the aluminum and shit in the deodorant, but I would rather have a little bit of toxicity in my pit than just smelling. It reminds me of, like the moisture whisking shorts or whatever, like, you get the Nike ones and they're supposed to be moisture wicking. I feel like those just immediately grab stench out of my butthole and like rip it out, and it smells so bad. If I'm just wearing like, cotton shorts or something, I never smell. But as soon as I put on some like polyester moisture wicking shorts, or especially the underwear, that's why I usually don't wear underwear to the gym, because the gym type underwear just makes my butthole smell so bad. And I do not know why. Anyways, super nervous about this. Hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you do. I think I'll let you go now. If you liked it, let me know. If you want to support me anyway, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to try to do a lot more of these. I'm just going to pump out as much content as I can on here. And if you want to support me in any way, the subscribe button helps a lot. You can also go over to gorillamind.com and use my code Atlas over there. I think we're having a sale this week on like collagen and shroom and some of the flavors of mode. If you use my code, you get 25% off. Any other time, I think you get 10% off, or on any other product. So that's a huge way of supporting me. Because again, YouTube doesn't really pay me shit. I'm losing money right now making these videos for you guys. And how else could you support? You could also do some nutrition coaching through Victoria and our other nutritionists on Atlas, atlasoptimization.com. All those links will be in the bottom below. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about, any other formats you want me to do. I feel a lot more comfortable with this. I feel like it's going to be kind of fun to just come on here, kind of cathartic, to let you guys know who I truly am and my kind of thoughts on things. So yeah, until next time, see ya.